Welcome to the show, guys. I'm here today with my good friend Keyton Blocher. And in case you didn't know, Keyton Blocher is dying.
Yes, I am. I'm actually doing pretty good for a dying guy. I'm just doing it quicker than most. So back in 2023, at the beginning of the year, I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer. And when I first got diagnosed, it was stage 3. So it was pretty far along, and they weren't sure as far as treatment-wise what that was going to look like what they could do, because I also, on top of that, have a rare heart condition, and that's called hypoplastic left heart syndrome. And so the left side of my heart is completely dead, and I've had open heart surgeries and reconstructive surgeries. They rebuilt 2 artificial chambers in the right side of my heart. So I do have a fully functioning heart because I have 4 chambers, but my heart is actually only half, but it's twice the size of a normal heart.
So you're sort of like the Grinch, other than at the end of the movie, where you're super happy and your heart is 2 sizes too big.
2 sizes bigger than it should be. Yeah,
one half is bigger and the other half is just hanging there.
Yeah, the other half is just kind of a little dead pocket. So.
And how long have you had the heart condition?
So I was born with the heart condition, day 1. So my first open heart surgery, I was a day old. My second heart surgery, I was about 2. And then my third open heart surgery, I was about 4 or 5. And then from there, it was like every year or every other year, I had a follow-up, like a cath lab surgery through my arteries or through my lower back. I hit probably, I think, 10 surgeries for my heart before I got diagnosed with cancer. And then once I got diagnosed with cancer, I was like, well, I'm well into the double digits now. Might as well just keep rolling, right?
Well, we kind of jumped into it. Why don't we get people to like you first? So tell us about your upbringing. Where'd you grow up?
I'm from Roseburg, Oregon. So it's a very small, actually. It's a little bit smaller than Columbus. It's a very conservative town in a blue state. It's surrounded by 2 rivers that split off. So the Umpqua River in Oregon goes and splits into the North and South Umpqua, and both the North and South Umpqua enclose Roseburg and then come back in a little place right outside of Roseburg at colliding rivers and become the main Umpqua again. So the main river in Oregon actually is where I grew up, is in between on the split. So I've done a lot of fishing. I've done a lot of...
Is this mountain foresty Oregon like we all think of?
Mountain forest Oregon. Yeah, I was a rock climber. Out of high school, I worked for a nonprofit organization called Youth for Christ. Billy Graham started it. And my job, actually, which was really cool, and I still don't believe that it was a job, was I got to teach kids how to rock climb as a part of my, purview. So that, and then I got to run a youth ranch where we taught kids how to ride dirt bikes. So that was really fun. That was like my first job outside of that. But so I'm from Oregon. So, I don't have any sort of accent, I guess, that I would recognize as an accent. I'm sure to folks here, they're like, oh yeah, you're northern.
Yeah, you kind of got a little bit of a muted Midwestern accent is what they call it. Once you get over to Idaho and that, you're not quite country. So
yeah, but I have family that South Carolina, New Orleans, Shreveport, and so I have family that influenced my upbringing that was more southern. So coming here was just kind of like coming home.
So how'd you end up in Columbus, Mississippi?
So my wife is in the Air Force. She is a public affairs specialist for the Air Force, and so she, does all of the cool, important things, like does the articles and the videos and makes sure that the commanders know what's on topic and what's not. And she gets to help with the social media and everything else.
So your wife's in the Air Force, and I guess she got assigned here?
Yes. Actually, we were originally supposed to go to Las Vegas. We were supposed to go to Nellis, and she was going to be working in a much larger shop with a lot more responsibility and people and just all sorts of craziness. And we kind of found out she was pregnant while she was in tech school right after she got her assignment. And we decided, if we could go somewhere not the desert, that would be great.
Yeah.
Because we grew up in the forest, and we both grew up about an hour and a half away from each other. And so it was kind of like we both were in love with the same kind of outdoorsy atmosphere, camping, the coast, which the coast is not the beach. It's very different. Right. It's pins and needles, sand and wind, and as opposed to sunshine and putting your toes in the sand. Yeah, so we originally were going to go to Nellis, and then I found out that this is actually only an Air Force thing, but they can, if you're in the same job description, which they don't call it an MOS, they call it something else. When you have the same job as somebody and you're at the same school and you both agree, we would like to swap spots, you can put in an appeal to like swap locations with somebody, as long as you guys are graduating within the time frame that they need your report in dates to be at the places. So my wife's friend at school was supposed to come to Columbus, and her husband's from Alabama, and they already actually had a house in Vegas because her husband is already in the Air Force. And so she was like, this would be perfect. We already have a house there. We'll move there. You guys take our duty station in Columbus. And we were like, great. And so we got to come to the South. So we kind of picked it, kind of didn't. But, you know.
Yeah, as much as you can in the Air Force.
As much as we could.
I know she's going up in rank. I knew her as A1C blocker before I met you.
Yes.
And so what's her title now?
So now she's a senior airman. So she's...
And that's extremely fast, by the way, for the amount of time y'all have been here.
Yeah, she just hit her 4 years. So she promoted a little quicker than normal, mainly because after we got here, our son was born, and he had his health complications. He has the same heart condition that I do, but his is like the best case scenario, whereas mine is like the worst case scenario.
Is it the same side and everything?
Yeah. His actually, the left side is alive enough and formed part of the heart that's called the apex, which you need for both sides to be able to run. But what he did was the surgeon went in and fixed his aortic valve. And so that was the only surgery so far that we're aware of that he's going to need, as opposed to me having like 10.
Is there any, correlating factors between the left heart thing and some of your cancer, or you don't really know?
They don't think so. I mean, obviously, because I had a heart condition, you know, my immune system was probably a little more suppressed. But I mean, since I got my diagnosis, I went through all of the things. I went through I worked for a vineyard company. I sprayed pesticides and herbicides. Like, was that the reason I got cancer? Like, I got mono. And sometimes they say that mono can lead to lymphoma. And I was like, okay, well, I have tattoos. They say that the tattoo ink can cause lymphoma because it goes into your bloodstream. So there's like 100 different things that I've tried to go through and just see if it connects. And at this point, I've found that it's just not really worth chasing.
Well, there's been some research and stuff, and my wife's on Battle where I've read where they're in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, if they're the technology from today, they probably could pull out 80% of people's instance of cancer. Like they could say, you went to this factory, you tried this chemical. And the reason they can't now is because there's so much stuff out in our daily world that we're all exposed to, including Roundup and everything else, that they're like, we can hardly narrow anything down, because it could be the Diet Coke you're drinking. You could have stood next to a piece of industrial equipment. You could have been next to a creosote factory here in Columbus. And it's just, which is scary that there's that much stuff in our day-to-day world that could have caused it. So they're kind of like, don't worry about it. Let's just attack it. So.
Yeah, that. And I also try to stay away too much from like doing too much research, if that makes any sense, just because you can kind of go down a rabbit hole. And mentally, it's really just not a good place to be. I get a lot of unsolicited advice. You and I talked about that. We talked about two things in my wife's journey and watching other people now. Number one is that the casseroles stop showing up eventually. Yes.
Like, it's not that people don't have sympathy or that they get exhausted, but they're just like, at some point, it's not that they're giving up on you, but like, it doesn't fit the script that, they're still here. They're not either cured or dead.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't, human brains are only, in one direction can do compassion for so long. Like this is we're recording this during the Katrina anniversary week. I do not want to see another blue tarp or a retrospective or somebody tagging me in something again. And I know you and I talked a couple weeks ago at lunch about that, where it's like people call you and like, you should try turmeric and you should try blueberries. Try not eating at all. And you're like, well, I only weigh $150. I can't.
Yeah, I can't not eat. Yeah.
I gotta eat something. So.
Yeah. The biggest one I've heard a lot is you should cut out sugar. You should go gluten-free. If you did this, you wouldn't have cancer. If you ate this, your cancer would be cured. If, I've heard about this study and I'm like, okay, I get enough emails. I subscribe to MD Anderson's research journals. I subscribe to the Lymphoma and Leukemia Society, which puts out articles about new research and clinical trials. I'm tracking the research. So I'm I try to tell folks I love that you're thinking of me, but I don't need the help, if that makes any sense. And that's been a really hard thing to learn how to do, is to tell people yes, but no. I love you and I want your support and I want you to be, I want you to send your positive thoughts my way. And I love that, you think about me, but I get enough of this specific thing already that I don't want to just keep hearing the same things over and over and over again.
Well, and there are a lot of stuff where you'll what are you taking? You're taking this, and you really should be just eating apple cider vinegar or this, and you're like, okay,
I'm going to try chemo first.
I'm going to side with the physicians and doctors who want me to succeed and are in it. And again, watching through my wife's stuff, because she had two things, which was the breast cancer itself and chemo, but then an autoimmune response to that. A lot of the stuff you'll go and the experts we saw online are say the first stop you need to make to see if this is peer reviewed, and the second stop to see how many people were in the study.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of studies you hear about on Facebook and people citing on TikTok and Instagram that were 10 or 12 patients. And there's not enough correlations there for you to know if that's worth, they tested 12 people and 2 of them had a miracle thing. Well, okay.
Great.
Good for
what
them.
About the other 10? Yeah. Well, and also it's a weird balance too, because you also have to if there's only 12 people in it, that means you probably don't qualify. And for somebody with a pre-existing condition, like a heart condition on top of the cancer, I don't qualify for a lot of things. It doesn't help them. Because they want me to be healthy otherwise, other than the cancer, which is kind of counterintuitive because they're trying to kill me with chemo, but the cancer's trying to kill me. So it's almost like which one's just going to do it faster. Yeah. And so far, chemo's been doing it slower. This regimen that we're on now, we're hoping it either keeps it at bay or shrinks it in some sort of way. But we're just not sure where we're going from here. So they've said tentatively 2 to 5 years is my optimistic range of how long they think I'll stay alive.
Not to get too deep too fast, but is there and I have a couple other friends that I know that are that open-ended terminal, same amount of time. And both of their comments have been, part of their awake at night sweaty dream thing is, can I wait out technology and AI and all this other stuff? Because it's curing stuff, smaller things, but quicker than they're sequencing genomes and doing all these sort of things quicker than they expected. And he's like, well, they told me 5 years, and I'm worried that 5 years and 2 months, they're going to be like, hey, we fixed everything, Yeah. Is that in the back of your mind anywhere? I hope they come up with something, or can you just not really succumb or sacrifice to that?
I try not to dwell on it, but I do think about it every once in a while. It comes up more when I do get a email from the Lymphoma Society. I got one the other day that was hey, the UK is doing this new promising study that actually boosts your own immune system to fight the cancer without harsh chemicals like chemo. And they've seen longer life expectancy. They've seen better overall health, because chemo, it really,
in and of itself,
it takes a bunch of stuff out of you. Yeah. And then I did chemo, and then I did radiation, and now I'm back on chemo. And I'm pretty sure if I wouldn't have made a conscious decision to take care of myself, I probably wouldn't have made it through chemo, radiation, and then chemo again.
Well, there's a huge pushback in the breast cancer community of overdiagnosis and overtreatment from the small lump that they found and stuff. That's part of the reason it was trailing behind itself. But 7 years ago, whatever, they said, okay, you really don't need to get checked for breast cancer until you're 50 instead of 40. And there was a pushback on that. And by the way, my wife got tested on her 40th birthday and they found it. But there's some pushback on, oh, y'all are finding this small lump and doing, shocking surgery to the body of double mastectomies and chemo and or radiation and all this stuff that could be doing more damage than if you just let the cyst or whatever mature 10 years. Now, I understand there's 5% of the people in that case that would have died in that interim 5-year time period, but they're saying, I don't know, if we're killing the goose for the gander or just being too aggressive. Now, you have something more than a little brown dot on a scan, though, correct?
Yeah. So it started off kind of down in my lower abdomen, and then it moved up to my neck. And then I did chemo, and I didn't pass the first round of chemo. So I tried another chemo, and I didn't pass the second round of chemo. So I tried a third round of chemo. And the third round of chemo that I did was called ABVD, which is the aggressive one for Hodgkin's lymphoma. It has the red devil in it, which is the one that's toxic to your heart. And so they were very, very cautious to give that to me because they were worried that my heart wouldn't be able to support it. Lo and behold, I am not claiming that I'm impressive, but the doctors can't explain why I'm still doing as good as I'm doing. My cardiologist, I just saw him a week ago, and he said, your heart is as strong as ever. He's like, you've been through chemo, almost 10 rounds now of chemo, and a round of radiation, and your heart doesn't look like it. He was like, it looks like it's had no change at all, which is great. But I was telling somebody the other day, getting a good news appointment is almost harder now because it's like, okay, I'm glad that's going well. I wish, everything else was going well because then we could just be moving on with life. But it's still like, okay, now we go back to, okay, well, at least that problem's taken off my plate. Now I can worry about the other one. So, but we're trying to find something, and I don't know what is going to come out in the next year or 2 or 5 even. They're trying all sorts of different things, but I'm supposed to get connected with a medical journal. They want to do a case study on me because I am actually considered the first recorded case in history of hypoplastic left heart syndrome with Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer at this stage. And I told them, I said, if there's any research that they want to do, any questionnaires they want me to fill out, any extra blood work they want to do to use for testing, I was like, if I'm dying, do what you need to do. Because if the only thing that I leave behind is that the next person that has this combo gets to live 5 more years because they attacked it a different way from the beginning, because they went, well, this guy handled it this way, so we can do this. That to me is uber important. So
when and where did they first discover the cancer part of it?
The cancer, so I started having fevers, and at 102, 103 degree fevers. So not light fevers. And I would actually walk outside of the hardware store and I would just stand in the sun in the middle of the heat in Mississippi, and I would put a jacket on. And people around me were like, something's not right. You're going outside because you're cold in the middle of the summer, and we live in Mississippi. It's 100 degrees outside, and you're putting a jacket on. And so I was like, yeah, you're right. And then I got to the point where I had such a high fever that I almost passed out. And then I lost 20 pounds in 2 weeks. And I said, okay, I'm not feeling good. And I had this cough that wouldn't go away. That was the earliest symptom, was this cough. And so we went to the urgent care and they were like, well, we've had these weird coughs go around. We're not sure what exactly it is, but that may just be like a virus. So they gave me antibiotics for 2 or 3 months. And
Assuming they don't have a one-of-one non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, left heart disease test hanging on the wall of urgent care.
Exactly. In Columbus.
Yeah, you can't blame them for that.
Yeah, the Weekends Plus urgent care didn't have that capability at the moment.
Yeah.
So what they did was they just gave me antibiotics, and they basically were like, oh, you have an infection, go home, ride it out. Here's some antibiotics. Well, a couple of months later, I was still sick, and we went back home to Oregon to visit family because we just had a baby, and we were like, oh, we need to go back and see family and do the thing. And so we went home and we were visiting people, and everybody was like, why are you coughing so much? And I was like, am I really coughing that much? Like, I'm still coughing? And they were like, yeah, it's like every day, almost all day long, like a couple times, at least an hour, you go into a coughing fit. And I was like, really? So when we got back, I said, okay, something else is going on. And then I ended up with this swollen spot, like in the bend of my leg, and which is where one of your lymph nodes sits. And so I was like, okay, something's not right. Like something really serious is going on here. And so I went into the urgent care and I was like, hey, I don't know what we need to do, but like maybe we need to run a different test. I don't know. So I went and got an ultrasound of the swollen spot, and they said, oh, you have an infection in your lymph nodes, is what they thought.
Yeah.
They'll do everything that they can before cancer.
Well, there's an insurance, I call it an escalator, which is, and by the way, my wife and I have paid for 2 MRIs out of pocket to avoid it. Meaning that, like, okay, you got to go to urgent care, you get a referral to orthopedic, get a referral to this, do an x-ray, do a MRI, do a scan. And we're like, can we just pay for the MRI? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, by the way, the rack rate for an MRI at some local places is under $1,000. Your insurance is paying $3,000. But if you just say, I have some money and I want it and I want to know today what's going on, you can get it done. But otherwise, because insurance is, I spoke with this Amy Bogue a couple weeks ago from Allegro Health Services, that you have a step-by-step process that they have to follow, and it has been mistaken in the medical community and training now that that's the triage. That's do this, do an x-ray, do this, do this, do this. So sometimes there's as long as 6 weeks when if 20 or 30 years ago, somebody may have gone, we got to get you in for a PET scan real quick.
Like today.
White blood cell count. And it's not that you're still going to survive, and it may not help your survivability ratings, but I'm sure it does sometimes, because we got caught in that for my wife's gallbladder, where they're like, this. And like, we left the West Point emergency room and went to Baptist, and within 1 hour, including drive time, she was in surgery. Because there was a veteran doctor there that was like, we don't know nothing. Go get a scan, get it gone.
Yeah.
So next step.
Yeah. So, well, and that distance actually for me, to just give a timeline, was January when they did the ultrasound to April when I was diagnosed. So it was a good 3 or 4 months before we found out that I had cancer. And it was a good couple months before that we had started trying to figure out what was going on. So like by the time I was diagnosed, it was like 6 months.
And what time period was this? Or year or whatever?
That was, so the end of 2022 was when I started coughing. And then 2023 was really when we started attacking, like, okay, something's wrong. We need to really figure this out. So next step after they said, oh, it's an infection in your lymph nodes, they gave me a super strong antibiotic. And they said, try this. Call us in like a couple days or a few weeks. Somewhere in between there. It was like 10 days, I think. And they were like, let us know if this is working. And it didn't work. And so they were like, okay, we're going to prep you for surgery. We're going to do a biopsy. And so I was like, okay. And so they did a needle biopsy, which is just where they go in and they pull a little bit of it out, like a little chunk out with a needle. And results came back inconclusive. So then I had to wait another 10 days. Because you have to pause medications to do surgery. And I got another needle biopsy. Well, that time it came back, they didn't have enough samples. So then I waited another 10 days, and we did what's called an incisional biopsy, where they make an incision, cut open, go in and take a full chunk out. And they finally did that, and then I got a phone call while I was at work. And I stepped outside. And they said, hey, the doctor wants to talk to you personally. We're going to transfer you. And I didn't think anything of it. It's a military clinic, sometimes You just don't know how to read the room, I guess. And so I was like, okay, yeah, that's fine, whatever. And he goes, hey. And I was like, what's up? And he was like, so we got your results back from the latest biopsy. And he was like, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. You have cancer. And it was like, I had just gotten hit by a truck. Like, it was just like this, well, crap. What do I do now? Like, what do I do? I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And one of the phrases that I've kind of coined during my journey is nobody talks about. And then I'll lead on to follow with some problem that I have with the system or the treatment plans or just the joys of having cancer. Yeah. And nobody talks about that phone call. I've seen some stories of some people where they're like, I got that phone call in Target, and they're like, I can't go back to Target. Or they're like, I got that phone call in this car, and so I sold the car, because it's such an emotional thing. And I looked at my boss and I said, I have to go. I have to leave. I have to go home. And he was like, well, what's going on? And I was like, I'm really sorry. I can't explain it to you. I have to go talk to my wife first. And he knew I was waiting for results on something. So it wasn't like a just trust me, I got to go home. It was like oh, okay. Yeah, you do what you need to do. I drove home. My wife wasn't home, so I had to go find her at work. And they said I have cancer. And her first response was, she just kind of, my wife is the sweetest person, does not use profanity, doesn't say anything bad about anybody. She was like, well, F. Like, what are we supposed to do?
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, I don't know if you can get off for the rest of the day, but just let me know, if there's anything I can do to help. Because at that point, I still was like, I'm sick, but I feel okay enough to go out and do something. I was like, I'll go get you lunch, or I'll take you home. Like, we can just go home. She still had to work for the rest of the day. So she had a couple hours left. So she stayed, but and then I started doing all my phone calls to my mom and my grandparents and all of them, and that was really hard.
At this point, did they know? Did they just say you had cancer? They didn't give a definition to it, right?
They just knew it was cancer. And so then I went in to get another biopsy, because that's a different biopsy that they have to get. And so I got another biopsy to get a type biopsy. And at first they said, oh, you have non-Hodgkin's. And I was like, great. That's one of the most curable cancers. And I heard from a lot of people, if there's one piece of advice that I can give anybody, is if somebody gets cancer, no matter what type of cancer it is, don't ever say to them, oh, well, at least it's the good cancer.
We heard that a lot with my wife's fight with breast cancer. And
yeah.
And back to your hearing the story of it, we were fortunate enough that when we went for her scan on her right for her 40th birthday, the x-ray tech literally, he came out of the room and he goes, you need to stop. We need to set up an appointment right away. And, they're not allowed to tell you we saw a lump or something, but in his eyes, the second your x-ray tech guy was and then, so we knew, we went outside and knew, and then I think it's 2 or 3 days later, which was on my wife's 40th birthday. They were hey, by the way. And the two biggest lessons that we learned, which is what you're alluding to here, is that they will dismiss your pain like nobody's business because of some of the we say, the insurance, the beat down of the industry, and you have to fight for your own health care. They will let you die.
Yeah.
And it's not because they're bad people, but until you get to MD Anderson or until you talk to the doctor themselves and catch them in the right mood, these people are surrounded by death. They're surrounded by struggling. And 90% of the time, everything does fit. Oh, you've got this. You've got an infection. Go down that track. Oh, you've got this. You've got non-Hodgkin's. We'll get it through. You're going to lose some life, whatever. And the rarer you get on it, or the more, as in my wife's thing and your thing is much more serious, that it's people aren't used to it. And so you have to get in front of the person who's used to it, which, you may have to fight for a whole year to get to the right doctor at MD Anderson who's like, okay, it's still bad,
Yeah.
but at least we can do this and palliative care and this and this and this. You might have a chance. As opposed to, they're not giving up on you, but they do have the person in the next room that they have to tell the same thing to or something.
Yeah.
And that you get fit in that category. We do that with every level of the human experience. From soldiers to the lady at Hardee's, like they're expecting you're going to be a good customer, a bad customer, and kind of where they go. So
yeah, the lymphoma, like the head of the lymphoma department is actually my doctor at MD Anderson. He personally wanted to take on my case, one, because I'm number one. And I think career-wise, it was like one of those, like, hey, if I'm going to give myself something important, like number one case, that's crazy. Those don't come around very often. And so initially they said I had non-Hodgkin's. And so we went and we met with Dr. Carissa Boyd here in town. Her husband is actually who did my biopsy surgeries.
There you go.
So I'm a Dr. Boyd fan. I'm a duo team for them. I told them, I was like, I need a punch card so that way I can like 11th visits free.
Yeah, we talk about that. I'm on one of the boards at Baptist Hospital now because of my wife's visits. So
yeah,
fish and chicken salad at the hospital. So.
Yeah. That's a whole topic.
Fish Friday is pretty cool. Like I tell people, if you're going to get cancer, do it on a Friday because it's the best food.
Yeah. So they initially said, it was non-Hodgkin's, and then they did another test on the same biopsy, and they said, actually, it's Hodgkin's, which between the two, non-Hodgkin's is not aggressive. Hodgkin's is very aggressive. So they had to change the way they were going to treat it. And that was why they initially thought, we don't know how we're going to do this because of your heart, because usually we just attack this like crazy and just go aggressively at it. And young people like me, usually if they're in relatively good health, they make it through it and they survive. But being that I have a heart condition and I was already kind of 80 years old before all of this.
Yeah.
Because of my heart condition, I've had 10 surgeries. I mean, my body's pretty beat up. I was still pretty physically capable, but I mean, I was pretty beat up. And they were like, we really don't know how you're going to tolerate this. And so I kind of made it my mission to like make sure, like when I had good days, that I was building my body up to continue to fight. Because if I didn't take those steps to eat a little bit healthier, try to make sure I'm getting more protein, try to make sure that, I'm actually gaining a little muscle mass, or like, that I'm actually active and getting blood flow going, I don't think I would be here anymore. I think I would have probably not made it through a lot of things. And there have been a couple of close calls over the last 2.5 years of just like, I'm laying in a hospital bed and I'm just in pain and drugged so heavily that I look like a zombie. And my wife was like, there were times where I didn't know if you were going to come home. Like, we just didn't know. And that's the side of it people don't see. And kind of to your point of like, the casserole stopped coming eventually. It's because we don't post about those things. We don't talk about those things. Again, my coined phrase, nobody talks about the hospital stays and the sleeping on the couches and the not knowing.
Again, even though I'm on one of the boards now, they fixed the couches in the NICU in the fifth floor. So there's some people with newborn fathers are finally having to not deal with the pain, because that's about an equal pain.
Exactly.
In case you ladies are watching, is giving birth and sleeping on that couch for 2 nights.
It's pretty rough.
And I'm about 100 nights in, so I'm a seasoned veteran now. But I still, my wife, we're at the point now, probably where your wife gets, where like it's around 9:30 or 10, and they look over at you and they're like, my wife from the bed's like, just go home. Like,
I told my wife, I was like, I don't need you to sleep here.
Like, just to go through the motions. And we've had family and friends there her last couple surgeries where I came in and I'm like, all right. And they come in, they're like, what are you doing? She's like, oh, doesn't need to hang out here she's tired of me at this point. I'd imagine your lovely wife would never be tired of you.
Oh, no. Yeah. Well, and now that I'm retired too, and I have more time.
Yeah.
I have more time to think of dad jokes and all these stupid things.
Let's touch on that. So, a blessing, I would say. Let's talk about your career job you had here in town with Benton's Military Hardware.
Yes.
I would think a blessing.
Yes,
they seem to be so kind and considerate about everything.
They were amazing. They are an amazing company. they're just they're an institution in town. They really are. And the new owners, I'll say, because the Perkersons used to own.
Yeah, and I was there when Robert Benton came to town with after his son Andrew, and came and purchased the place. And
yeah, and their heart is really just serving people and serving the community, and putting effort back into the community, as well as trying to provide good customer service. Because one thing that I noticed a lot of, especially in that atmosphere and that space of hardware, tools, home improvement, the big stores that we have in town, customer service is not their number one priority. You could walk around that store for a long time and be like, hello, and like looking for somebody, and you won't find anybody. And one of the big things that was their push was like, as soon as somebody walks in the door, we want to know what they need help with. And if they just want to browse, that's fine. But like, as long as they know that, we are eager to help them, that's our first priority. They are our first priority. I think that a lot of places aren't doing that. And it's kind of a weird lost thing. And so I connected with that really well. And they really poured into me and let me thrive, because I didn't actually come on as the sales and marketing manager. I started off unloading the truck, and I would unload the truck and I would put stock away. So to this day, I can still tell you what aisle and where things are at, because I had to put it up.
Yeah,
which was perfect, because as a salesman, I was like, oh yeah, we carry that. I know we carry that. I've seen it. I've touched it. I've put it away. Like, I know that that's in the store. And so it was about probably 3 or 4 months after I started working there, Robert approached me and asked me if I wanted to move into more of a full-time position and do the business-to-business outside sales. And so, and I think that's kind of when I met you, was through B&I.
Yeah.
And because I started doing more of the marketing myself, as like, hey, I'm the sourceman, not a salesman, I'm a sourceman. I find things, and sometimes, yes, it's magic. I tried really hard to try to set myself apart, because I was like, I don't want people to kind of go, he's a salesman, like, because they get that really bad feeling about, like, everybody pictures that sleazy car salesman with like the greased hair and the gold teeth and the like the cheap suit or whatever, and smells like cigarettes. Like, that's what they think of when you're like, oh, I'm a salesman. And so I tried to do a complete 180 from that, and I tried to just kind of adopt a attitude of honesty and trying to be the most honest salesman that I could be, which I know you probably know. Sales and being honest is very hard.
Yeah.
It's just really hard. And so I started taking a little bit of interest in the marketing side of things. They had somebody at the store that was kind of running it. Her name was Jessica Tackett.
Yeah.
She runs the gym. Which
Nobody's ever heard of Jessica Tackett.
Yeah, no. Nobody
I'm a little afraid she's going to come for me now. Jessica Tackett is amazing.
Yes.
Or she will hurt us.
Yeah, Jessica and Wade and their gym, their facility, the gym is amazing.
No, it's pretty fancy.
They worked really hard, and they really put in a lot of work and time. And
I like to say this, I am proud of them. I talk to her more than I get to talk to Wade, because he's, of course, coaching an incredible football team up there and stuff too. But like, they go under my chapter. You're in there. The Munsons are in there. A bunch of other people, of unreasonable people. When they told me they're planning for the gym, I'm like, as a business guy, I'm like, I don't know how you're going to get 300 people here in the middle of summer on day one. I don't understand what, to me, I'm like, gym's a gym sort of thing. And they're like, no, you don't understand. And they bought that building and they built it and they want to build more. And guess what? 300 of their maniac friends were there like day one to join. And I think they're going to be a great success story. They already are.
Yeah. My wife was number one.
Yeah.
Part of their day one. So
yeah, we're blessed to have their whole family here too. So that's, my account at Military Hardware is one of the first ones. And like when somebody new was there, they're like, what's your account number? I think it's 201. Like,
yeah. You're like, I've been here a while. It's not far down the list. Yeah. But so the hardware store was really a great place for me to be. And when I got diagnosed with cancer, I couldn't have asked for a better response from them. They They basically told me, they said, do what you need to do to make sure you are okay. And we will make sure that we get by, but we're not going to push you. And that started out as me going, okay, well, I'm going to need to cut back a little bit on my hours. And they were like, that's fine. And then it went to, okay, I can't work every day. And they said, that's fine. And so it eventually became this point where the doctors were like, you're pushing yourself too much. Like, they were like, you're trying to be there for work. You're trying to be there at home. You can't be a cancer patient, a successful sales and marketing manager, a dad, a husband, and be a person that's involved in the community like I was trying to be, and do all of these things together. You can't do them all well and survive. And so as of July 31st, I put in my official retirement, which is really weird, actually, as a 26-year-old to say I'm retired. I've been telling people I'm retired and unemployed.
Well, I think, and I know we'll go on to Legacy Dad here, but an excellent TikTok video would be, you want to learn how to retire before you're 30, come talk to me.
Yeah. It may not be the preferred method, but it's a method.
Stick your head in the microwave, go play with some glyphosate, just
drink some Roundup.
Any easiest way we can get you there. I can guarantee you'll retire before you're 30.
I talked to everybody about it at the beginning. My dark humor set in pretty quickly with the whole situation, and a lot of people don't understand the dark humor. And I kind of liken it to like the military. So like the guys that have been deployed, they have kind of a different sense of humor. Because you're right. The doctors at these places, they're around death every day. So when you go to these places, you're around death all the time. And so you kind of get a little numb to it. And you kind of just ignore it. And then you just kind of find a way to try to laugh about it. So,
yeah. And you and I have both talked about the pragmatic, the expectation thing, where you can do all the positive affirmations and praying and manifestation of I'm not going to die, I'm going to die. But you have to balance it with the pragmatic day-to-day part of sure feels like I'm dying.
Yeah. No, yeah. And like this morning, I woke up, I had a white blood cell booster shot yesterday. So I had chemo on Tuesday, and then I have to wait 24 hours. And then I got a white blood cell booster. And so what that does is that stimulates your bone marrow to make more white blood cells so that your immune system can get boosted up. And what I've been feeling today is the side effect of that shot is bone pain, because it makes your bone marrow make more white blood cells. I liken it to being tackled by an NFL player, stepped on by an elephant, and then run over by a dump truck.
And I'm not a doctor or a scientist. We have at least 20 bones in our body. Is that correct?
At least. Yeah.
I think from school it was a little over 200, but
yeah.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say there's a lot of bones that can hurt you there.
Wow.
You can use that.
That's amazing.
Do that when you get home.
Yeah.
No charge.
I'll have to do a TikTok video with that joke on there. Yeah.
Yeah. I like the retire at 27 thing.
Yeah.
Like, hey, that's a very, lean on somebody's Lamborghini and
this is me. Yeah. No, and that's actually something too, with the retirement and knowing that I'm terminal. We've been working really hard. I've been creating my bucket list, which is super weird at this age. I never thought I would need it. I've always kind of put things in my notes in my phone of like, oh, hey, this would be a really cool experience. Like, I would love to do this. When I see it on Facebook or I see something on, the internet or whatever, like a place that I'd like to go see. So I'll just write it down in a list of places I'd like to go. And I trimmed the fat on that list and turned it into bucket list. And a lot of it, surprisingly, has been, I want to see this person, and I want to see this person before I die, and I want to see this person before I die. The only wild one that really stayed was the Mustang.
Yeah, you talked about
the 66 to 68 range Ford Mustang. I really would love to restore one. I've always wanted to. Ever since I was in middle school, I fell in love with the Mustang, and I've always wanted a matching F100 and Mustang with a wood trailer that I could take the Mustang places to shows. But I've kind of trimmed that dream back to just the Mustang. And with my son being 2.5, he's nowhere near driving. But I mean, that means I could get one that's in pretty bad shape and start working on it at least, or find somebody to help me work on it.
Yeah.
I want to leave something to him. So I have a box that I'm going to order that's like a wood box, like a nice wood box with a key, and it's going to have some keepsakes in it. But yeah, mortality is weird. It brings up a lot of questions and a lot of scenarios and things that you've never thought about. And that's why I started the Legacy Dad thing.
Yeah.
So Legacy Dad is
TikTok and Facebook.
Social media campaign is what I'm calling it, because that's kind of the only thing I can liken it to. Right now, it's only TikTok and Facebook. I'm trying to get an Instagram started so that I can link all three, and kind of whenever it posts to TikTok, it'll post to Facebook and Instagram and all that together. Basically, I just want to get a bigger audience. My heart for this project is I don't care if it gets big. I really don't. It would be cool. I'd be super excited. But to me, my identity is not in this getting big. My identity in this is at least helping one person. So even if it's just somebody that just got diagnosed with cancer and they come across my videos of like, hey, this is going to be a struggle, prepare for this. Or I found out that these were helpful, use these. And I actually have already hit my goal. Last night I had somebody message me that I've never met. And she said, my husband was just diagnosed yesterday and he's 32 and we have 2 small children and we have no idea where to go. We're lost. And she was like, I'm really glad I found your videos, because she's like, you're talking about the things that we're going through.
Yeah, the most practical being talking about parking spots, or at, or how I wish we thought about it when we were doing it. My wife didn't have that long in chemo, but like going there was, you could have
it's an all day thing.
You could have a beautiful soul going there, and like I would go with my wife and last an hour, and I'm like, talk about like you're exchanging energy. I'm a big fan of that. Of like, it's part of the reason I like having the show is that you might get to one person, or you're just learning more about somebody or trading energy with them. And it's tough because if people go in there, you could be the most fun, energetic guy in the world, but you sit there for 7 or 8 hours around all the beeping and Judge Judy shows, and eventually you're eaten alive. Are you a Judge Judy expert?
Oh my gosh, it's Law and Order. It's old westerns in black and white, which I'm fine with the westerns. I don't typically care for Law and Order too much.
My wife got addicted to Law and Order, I believe, doing chemo, and every night at 6:00 while I'm watching marketing videos and sales training stuff, she is listening. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, like in the other room, like dun dun dun, 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 dun. And you're like, oh, it's 6.
Yep, right on the clock. Sorry, Desiree.
Yeah, well, hey, it's okay. Chemo changes all.
She
of
won't
us.
be watching it. She'll be watching. Dong dong. We're going to insert noise here.
Yes, please do that. That would be amazing. There are some things that like I got addicted to phone games at the beginning of it, because the ABVD, the really big chemo that I did, because of my heart condition, I have to receive chemo slower. So my infusion days were 8 hours.
Whew.
So I'd go in, I'd get my port accessed, and then I would sit there hooked to a chair, or I would be in the chair. I'd be hooked to a pole, and I would be getting medication for 8 hours straight, and it wouldn't stop. I mean, there would be like a 5-minute break in between for them to change the bag for medications. But other than that, I wouldn't get a break. And fun fact about me, I am different no matter what I do, apparently. And so I react to chemotherapy, and I react to getting a blood infusion. So my back, my lower back specifically, starts spasming and then sends my body into like all of the muscles in my body tighten up, and I start to like hold my breath. Not of any volition of my own that I do that. It's a reaction that my body has to that stuff going in. And so they have to pre-med me with like Benadryl and pain medication on the front end. And then when I have that reaction, they just give me more Benadryl and more pain medication to get me through it, because I need it.
The medicine for the medicine.
Yeah, it's the medicine so that I can get the medicine. It's really funny because I always end up with the new nurses that are training, and I always have a reaction on the day that I have a new nurse that's training. And the veteran nurses are kind of funny because they're like, "Oh no, this is great for them because like they get to see like, you know, it's not always the same mundane everyday day to day like treatments. Like
I'm glad I could be of help." Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I've always been a weird case study and had 6 people in the room. It's fine. But especially with my heart condition, anytime I would go to the hospital, they would be like, "Hey, can we do an EKG on you?" And I'm like, "Are you going to charge me for it?" And they're like, "No, we just want to see it." Okay. Or can we do an echo? And I'm like, "Yeah, you guys can do whatever tests you want as long as you're not just tacking it onto the bill that, you know, without an explanation or anything like that." And they were like, "No, this is purely for research for us." And they were like, "We're a teaching hospital, or you know, we have students that come through here and we want them to be able to see this."
Where's your day-to-day stuff getting done around here?
So it's Baptist oncology on the 3rd floor of Baptist. There is the cancer center side of things, but my doctor is on the 3rd floor. Okay. So she's right across the hall from the actual infusion center, which has like the 100 chairs and all the Law and Order TVs. So they actually just got new chairs up there like a month ago.
Really?
Or something like that. I call them space chairs because like you go in, and before it was like these recliners that had like these little dots on all of them, and they looked like they were from like, you know, the 90s, and
they popped up kind of
they
sharp.
were comfortable enough. Yeah. And now these new ones, I call them space chairs because you go in and they're like the color of a spacesuit, like they're like a grayish white, and you go in and then there's a step to get up into the chair. So you have to step up onto this little black metal thing. You get up on the chair, and then one side controls the back, the other side controls the legs, and then you can flop the arms down flat to roll somebody out of it onto a bed. So they're better for the cancer like nurses up there because they can get somebody out of there quicker, like in an emergency. But like they're really complicated. I still haven't learned all of the buttons and things that has, or like levers or whatever to move stuff around. But because it's weird, like when they changed like even just the chairs, like it kind of threw me off because I had a routine. I was like, oh, I know where I sit. Like I like to sit in the same spot unless somebody else is sitting there. And I was like, I like the chair, you know, it's comfortable, and I always got a heating blanket out of the warmer because they have warmers up there, because I don't know what it is. And this is nationwide, by the way. All cancer centers, I think they sign like an agreement where they have to keep the temperature at -6 degrees, because every time I'm there, no matter what clothing I'm wearing, it is freezing cold. And it doesn't matter what the temperature is outside. It could be snowing outside and it's still 6 degrees inside in the cancer center or in the infusion center. Like it's crazy. Actually one of the TikTok videos I did about that, I promoted one of the products that somebody sent me, which was a heated blanket that's portable and chargeable. And so what I did was I just kind of made a TikTok video that was like, hey, check out this product. Here's the link to Amazon if you want to go buy it. I'm not sponsored by them, so this is an honest review. It really works. It's great. And you just charge like a power bank, plug it in, and it heats up for a few hours.
Warms you up a bit?
Yeah, it keeps you warm. So I do that, and then I put a blanket over the top of it now, and I'm nice and toasty. So, but...
and so your kid now is 2.5?
Yes. Yeah. Rex is 2.5. He's our only son. They told us we probably won't ever be able to have any more kids just because I've been through so many treatments, put so much poison in my body that, you know, that's a side effect and a downside. Yeah. But there is one upside to chemo that I have found. I don't get bit by mosquitoes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So you are somewhat of a superhero.
I have some radioactive something inside of me that, like, bugs won't touch me. Like, the ants won't bite me. No-see-ums don't bite me. I can walk outside in my grass barefoot in the middle of summer and get nothing. And I can stand in the same place for 30 minutes and get not bit.
I might take you on a fishing trip soon. Then just you could be like the glowworm in the front of the boat there.
Yeah, it'd be like everybody's favorite hunting buddy. Hey, you want to come and sit in the stand with me?
We could rent you out and hang you from my patio in the back. You'll make tens and tens of dollars.
Come to our party. Why? So that you can stand in the corner.
Just walk around my patio over and over again. We could hire you.
Make like the stink lions like in a cartoon.
Yeah. So I'm sure Rex isn't fully aware of what's happening at all, but like any cognizant of you being around more or.
Yeah, so I spend most of my days at home now, and I've been kind of trying to embrace the stay-at-home dad thing as much as I can with him, spending as much time with him as I can, because I don't know how much I have. One of the things that I do with him is like we go on a walk every day if I feel good, and we will read every day, and he's 2.5, so we're working on spelling and all that kind of a thing. He's really ahead of himself. I mean, he's counting to over 20 and all that kind of thing. So, but he actually does have a little bit of a grasp of what's going on. One of the most like amazing blessings that we got from somebody was this book that we were like, oh, we'll see how this goes. We have no idea. He fell in love with it. It's called My Dad and the Cancer Dragon. And the way that they use it to explain to kids like what cancer is and why dad has to go to the hospital, it's just it's really, really well written, and it's written with kids in mind of like their innocence, protecting their innocence, but also like you need to know this because this is in your family.
Yeah.
And so it talks about things like, when dad fights the dragon extra hard, sometimes he doesn't seem like dad. Or sometimes he gets angry. Or, sometimes he just is sick. And sometimes he has to go to the hospital to get his special medicine. We shouldn't touch the medicine because it's only made for dad's cancer dragon. And so, like, when I go on chemo days, I give him a kiss and a hug. And I tell him, all right, Bubba, I'll see you in a couple days. Daddy's got to go get his medicine to fight his dragon. And he goes, okay, I love you. Go get your medicine. Like, have fun at the doctor. Like, he knows that I go to the doctor to get the medicine. So he's making those connections. And I think that, finding whatever tool that you can, especially when it comes to kids, to like explain those hard things is important, because I don't want him to just kind of have this like, I don't know what happened to dad, he just died. Like, I need him to know he had cancer. And a part of that book is some people that have cancer get really sick. Sometimes they die. And that's okay. Like, and it just kind of goes through all of those feelings and things. And then it talks about like, what can you do to help dad fight the cancer dragon? And it talks about like one of the side effects of radiation, your taste buds change. And so in the book, it says, I like to make dad cookies because he can eat those and they don't make him sick. Or we'll make him soup because it doesn't have too much flavor and it doesn't make him sick. And some of dad's medicine can make food taste bad. And so we help mom come up with creative recipes so that dad will eat. And so he can eat with us. And so like out of the blue the other day, I was laying in bed and not really feeling good at all. And he ran down the hallway and yelled, Mom, we have to make daddy cookies. Because he was like, that's how I can help. And it was kind of surreal for me because it was like, oh, he gets it. Like, he's understanding. It sucks that he has to, but he is.
It's a lot better if you don't give kids a framework on how to deal with something and how to define it, or adults for that matter, of how do I define this? Like, thank you, I love you, I need your help. I don't need to know about that I'm supposed to be eating creatine or whatever tip.
Or whatever.
By the way, I don't know if you've tried creatine.
Yeah.
That's I said when I met with the with
nootropics, actually.
Yeah, we had the mobster guy come in town a few weeks ago for that, and he didn't want to do an interview, but then I pitched him. I'm like, hey, I'm going to be the only guy who doesn't ask about John Gotti or The Untouchables or any of these mob movies. I just want to know about your life when you were a kid. And he's like, okay. We go to the beginning, and I'm like, who's The Untouchables? Like, I started,
just to give him a joke.
That's how I feel about that, where they're like, you got to give the kids some sort of context, and adults need the framework too of like, don't ask me about this. You're not helping. We're being more direct, but we talked about this ahead of time.
Yeah.
You've got that sort of intangible thing where you want to be optimistic, but you got to be pragmatic about it also. Do you, in your vision of it, you think that there's an equal chance that you go to do blood work next week and don't come home, or do you think it's a 1 month crawl down, or you don't really know? You've been through it enough now where you've had some scares, right?
Yeah, and it can change in a matter of like hours. Like I could drive home from this, and I could go lay down to try to like rest or take a nap, and I could wake up in an hour or two and just feel like garbage. And then I call the doctor and they say, okay, go to the ER so they can run a bunch of tests. And they run a bunch of tests, and then they admit me, and then I stay in the hospital for 3 days. And then I get so bad. That's actually how we found out I had double pneumonia. On top of the cancer, on top of the heart condition, on top of the... I also had a liter of fluid in my lungs. And all of that happened overnight. And that was one of our really bad scares, was they were like, you're not breathing. Like, you're breathing on one side. That's not enough. You need to be breathing on both sides. The fluid is causing it to where the air can't get above or below it, so there's no flow in your one lung. So they pulled an entire liter of fluid off of one lung, which, I mean, in the medical community, a liter is a lot of fluid in your lungs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's scary how quickly it can change. But I've gotten to the point now where like I'm so much more in tune with how my body feels that I can kind of tell a little bit sooner, I believe. Like, how they tell people like, well, the more you eat healthy and like you work out and stuff, you become more in tune with your body because you can feel things better.
Yeah, put some chemo in your body. You'll feel your bones.
You'll feel every part of your body.
My wife described that. She's like, "There's body parts I didn't know that were inside of me, like little clicks and turns and stuff." She's like, "It's you learn."
Oh yeah, well, and like when I get this fluid overload sometimes, and like my face will blow up, and I'll look like I gained 70 pounds.
I wasn't gonna say anything. I thought you were just eating a lot of cookies.
Well, yeah, probably. But it's like, within 2 days, I look like I gained 70 pounds. And so what I'll do is I'll take what's called Lasix, or I'll go to the hospital and they'll give me IV Lasix. And that is the weirdest feeling. When you have so much fluid in your body pushing on all of your organs, and then they start trying to get it off, you feel your organs inside shift. And there's nothing else like it. I can't compare anything to it. Like, sticking your hand into something slimy and kind of like squeezing stuff around. That's the only thing I can think of, like noodles or something. But like, it's just a weird feeling, and you won't have that feeling unless you very specifically have that certain circumstance surrounding it. But yeah. So kind of back to the like giving like kids the framework and like adults the framework. That's kind of why I started the Legacy Dad thing. A lot of what I like to do is I like to get on there, and my wife calls them rants. I call them helpful tips. It's up to you, depending on how you like it or don't like it, what you want to call it. But I get on there and I'm like, hey, nobody's talking about this, so I'm going to. Coffee shops and restaurants. Nobody talks about the fact that for a cancer patient, there is so much anxiety if somebody invites you out to eat, because you don't know. If you go to a restaurant and you order something you think is bland enough, but you take the first bite, you go to the bathroom, you throw up, that's it.
Yeah.
The kitchens don't go, oh, I'm so sorry, let me make you another meal. It's like, that's what you ordered. It feels like a waste of money. It feels like a waste of time. And so, like, I know a lot of people in the community that I've recently joined in the cancer community, we have a lot of anxiety about that, and we just don't tell people. Because we don't want people to stop like inviting us to things and like engaging with us. We don't want people to just forget about us. But we also we need to have people know those things, because then they can kind of be a little bit more sensitive to like, hey, we would like to go out to eat with you. What restaurants work for you? Or is there a place that you'd like to go where something won't make you nauseous?
Yeah, speaking of casseroles, please don't, Colin Krieger, don't make me spicy red beans and rice and drop them.
Yeah, well, and with my chemo and everything, my gut got really affected by that.
Yeah.
And my spice, I can't do spice anymore. My favorite flavor of Doritos used to be the purple bag,
Oh, the
the
deadly
sweet and
ones,
spicy
yeah.
chili. Yeah, I can't even eat those anymore. And that's like mildly spicy compared to like a lot of the things that I used to eat. Like I used to cover things in Cholula and Tabasco and all sorts of stuff. So
Yeah, well, and part of that goes into, I've had these discussions with the Fergusons from the Rowdy Foundation and stuff with autism, and I have a couple of friends who have disabled children, and we dealt with her with our wife. There is a human instinct to both judge, be afraid, and everything, and it probably goes back to when we were allegedly apes or whatever, or just cavemen, of being afraid of somebody who's injured or hurt. That they're not going to be able to go on the kill with us, and it's deep down inside of us. And no matter what people say, they may feel sympathy when they see somebody in a wheelchair, but there's something deep inside of them that goes, if something goes down, it's not happening. And again, as we talk about when the casseroles stop coming, that happens with meals too. And if they have one bad experience with you, they're just like and I've
guess
seen
I
it.
can't help.
Yeah, or they just feel like they should be respectful and leave you alone, which being alone isn't the most fun thing in the world. So
Yeah, well, and like one of the things that I tried to do before I started the whole Legacy Dad thing, I used our personal Facebook to do this. I would just put long paragraph stuff up there and go, I really hope somebody makes it all the way to the end of this. And I would just say, like, things you don't say to a cancer patient, things that you can say instead that are more helpful, like telling somebody, let me know what I can do to help. As awesome as that is, and as great as that is, that puts the pressure on the person that has the illness and doesn't feel good and doesn't want to ask for help to ask for help. And so I gave alternatives. I was like, if you're at the grocery store, call them. Hey, I'm at the grocery store. Do you need anything? Or I'm in town. Do you need anything? Or I'm going to stop and grab some food. Do you want me to grab you something? Or like, hey, have you been out of the house today? Do you want me to come get you? I need to go to the grocery store. Are you okay to do that? Do you feel good? Like, you know, I'm not sick, so like we can go out together.
Yeah.
Or like, you want to go get coffee? Like, a lot of people just they offer the help, but it's not that they're not sincere. It's just they don't know how to help.
it's open-ended. Anything I can do to help. And I had some people who regretted offering that at a worse situation where I'm like, I got 3 kids. Like, they all need rides. Like, I don't need a chicken salad. I need kids broth here, this done here, and at the tough parts, you know?
Yeah.
And, when you're trying to do something generous for somebody, be specific. Like, you can say, hey, I got some from you. I'm going to surprise you. Like, you brought me a great picture today.
Yes.
Doesn't really fit into our podcast, but it's pretty awesome.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, look at that guy.
Yeah.
Just laying
I
there
don't know
with
who
a
he
pool
is,
stick, caressing it.
Love it. That was something I did for the Golden Triangle Theater.
It was for charity.
It was
so
for charity. It's whatever. I don't look back on it. We all have things in our past. And I made a few bucks. Had a nickname. So kids doing okay. How about the wife? How's she on a surface handling it?
I think on the surface she's doing good. We try to every once in a while, because you know you can't really have honest, deep conversation in front of the kids sometimes. So like we've been really prioritizing trying to find ways for her and I to get out and go do things by ourselves. We did open mic night at Munson's.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, it was super fun. That was kind of like the first day after I retired. And I was like, let's do something fun. And I was like, do you want to go on a date? And she was like, yeah. And so I looked on Facebook and I was like, oh, Ryan posted something about them doing open mic night. And so we went and sang, and that was really fun. And we enjoyed some pizza. And that was just really great. And we got to have some good conversation at dinner. And a lot of it is like, because I'm so young, we've never talked about like, hey, if you die, like, do you want your body cremated? Like, do you want us to carry you around because we're in the military? Like, do you want us to bury you here in Mississippi? Do you want us to wait till we like find our forever home to bury you? Like, what do you want? And we got to have those conversations. When we have those conversations, of course, you know, we kind of get a little depressed and it's a little harder. But I think overall, we're handling it okay. I made a video on the Legacy Dad stuff a while back that was just like, you know, I'm pretty confident in the fact that I'm a strong person. But if somebody came up to me at any point and just hugged me and told me, I'm proud of how strong you've been for how long you've been strong. I was like, that would probably break me, because a lot of people that I've talked to in these places, they feel like people don't recognize their strength. And a lot of it comes from like people try to sympathize, and so they're like, "Oh, my great aunt's uncle's cousin's dog's grandpa had cancer."
Yeah,
and
it's
blah,
the
blah,
hardest
blah.
thing not to do. That's in all forms of life, and there's some instinct to where people aren't listening to you. That if I respond to every single thing with my wife, my wife had this, but you are trying. It's an empathetic thing, but then you're also like, you're trying to think of something to say.
Yeah,
all the
and
time.
I'm like, well, I'm really sorry for you that happened to them, and they're like, oh no, but it's okay because they survived, and it was like, great,
You want
cool.
I'd say you want a cookie, even though your son's good at making cookies.
I'm
It's
like,
not,
you want a gold star? I'm not gonna like. Thanks for bringing those feelings up, and they don't mean to do that. Like people aren't out to get you. Like people aren't out to ruin your day or be mean to you. Like that's not their heart, and so I try to put these things out on social media to be helpful. One, to just create a little bit more peace for like people that are in the cancer community, but also to like educate just, I say normal folk, non-cancer people or people who haven't been touched by cancer in a way, so that, if eventually at some point in their life they do have to, say to somebody, I'm really sorry, let me know if there's anything I can do to help. No. What do you need right now? Or what would be the most helpful? Like even those questions are better than let me know what I can do. So yeah, the legacy dad thing really is just kind of been my main focus right now. But we're trying really hard to do the bucket list thing. We really want to go on some short trips here and there. We're going to go actually this weekend. We're leaving Saturday. We're going to drive. We're trying to do like day trips and maybe stay at an Airbnb a couple nights, but like kind of low impact, One of the videos I'm going to do for the Legacy Dad is actually going to be traveling with cancer because it's a whole nother animal. I'm sure you guys know.
Well, just in our talking a lot the last 10 days, you had 2 days where you couldn't do anything, whatever. Yeah. And then the next day, like today, you're like, hey, let's
I'm
go
fine.
to the moon.
Yeah, that's great. Let's go for a run. Like, I'm like, I'm fine. Yeah. And that's the thing too, is that I think a lot of people get this misconception of like, oh, but you look good or you don't look sick. And I'm like, oh, thanks. I try not to. Like, I don't want to look like I'm dying every day. So I'm glad that I don't. But a lot of people, like, if they don't see you looking sick, they forget that you are sick, weirdly. And so they'll kind of write it off as like, oh, they're better.
Back to us being cavemen.
Yeah, we're fine.
It's part of the reason I shared some of my wife's stuff, and I share good stuff all the time. And if something's bad, I'll make mention of it too, because that's all people can see. If you don't give them a high sign that something's wrong, people are usually, if you're dealing with other stuff like addiction and other things, you don't really notice it. You can see it in hindsight.
Yeah.
Like I could tell the signs there, but it's hard to step up and go, oh, my friend's in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And especially with you, like you're a relatively svelte guy anyway, a relatively thin guy when I met you. And I didn't notice like, oh, well, I guess he did lose 20 pounds in 4 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty hard.
And then it was 40 in 2 months.
Yeah. And so part of the reason you're on the show is part of what you and I have been navigating it and through and myself and a lot of your friends and family is how do we help you with this? And you're kind of timid about begging for it, but you need help and you've been forced to retire. So by the time this is airing, I think you're going to be interviewed with CBI today. When this airs in a week or so, or 2 weeks, we'll have like a GoFundMe set up and sort of a bucket list for you. I know we've talked about doing it. We're going to do it. And then we're kind of navigating like, hey, do y'all know somebody in Boston who has an Airbnb? Or, when you have this list or know anybody who can find me a cheap Mustang or whatever. Because there are people that'll be moved to do that. And you're as cool of a person, a good father for what you're sharing to get it. It's just, I know from the hindsight, it's hard enough to ask somebody to go get the milk and bread for you.
It is.
And then you're going, okay, well, I need this. And then the same battle we've had before that we're like, he doesn't look like he's dying. Which is conversations people don't have out loud. Like we don't want to do a sad little video of you sitting in a wheelchair and be like, please give $5 or whatever.
Yeah.
But some of it needs to happen if we want to help a kid and make some miracles happen. So talk about some of the things that are on your bucket list that aren't I need this for therapy or I need this for just life.
Yeah. So real quick though, before I do that, I did want to mention that one of the best things that we did was my wife created a registry on Amazon with like the drinks that help me focus on things, the linen shirts that allow me like in the heat, like I don't overheat, I don't like my sun exposure, some of the medication I have to be careful. We put on there this is my Ringcon ring. It keeps track of my blood pressure, my oxygen and all of that, and lets me know if I drop, and it goes to my phone. So like things like that we put on the registry, and people would buy it and send it to us, and that was super helpful. Like because we could add things on there as we needed them, or like something that I wanted to try to see if it would be helpful. And we got very blessed by that. That's actually how my wheelchair ended up getting here, which I do have a wheelchair. I have used it. I have had to use it. I don't use it every day. And that's also one of the misconception things is I have a cane and I have a wheelchair. I use the cane more often than I use the wheelchair. But the wheelchair we keep around and close by just in case my wife has to evacuate me from a spot by herself. Because when I get into pain and I can't move, she has to carry me.
And that turns into your dead fish weight's probably over 200 pounds, I would think.
Oh, yeah. My wife is incredibly strong.
Yes.
But it's helpful to have things like a wheelchair because I don't expect her to just throw me over her shoulder and carry me to the car. Like, and I try to help, but like my muscles fail. Like I can't physically help. And so that was a really big help. But so like, okay, bucket list. Gotta make sure
You might miss one, but we'll add because we're gonna have the Amazon wish list on this video thing here. Ding. Yeah. Somebody's gonna insert that. Perfect. Then we'll have the GoFundMe
in there.
Ding. It'll be on there, and then we'll figure these other things out because we're going to keep talking this about because you got to talk it out. This isn't something we've had 3 or 4 lunches since you kind of retired, and you got to figure out how to vocalize it. How do we give ourselves some framework?
Yeah.
How do we allow ourselves to give and receive casseroles ourselves?
Yeah.
Because it's easy to tell yourself that everything's fine.
Yeah. Well, and I'm trying to do things too that like also provide something for somebody like that feels like they're a part of it. So like. I designed these stickers. This is actually my face. I took a picture of myself and asked AI to make a photo of me, but more handsome. And, and then I said, put my TikTok name at the bottom of it. And this is what it came up with. So this is the Legacy Dad logo. So that's actually for you.
And our AI overlords are both wise and powerful. All praise.
They are great. It's a useful tool. So, but I'm going to start doing t-shirts and like crew neck sweatshirts. And then I'm working with a local lady here that does monogramming and DTF and all that kind of thing. She's going to help me design a sweatshirt for the infusion center that has a specific zipper that goes open and goes like this, because I've tried all of the ones that are out there so far, and all of the ones that are out there are made for women with breast cancer. They're not made for men.
They've cornered the industry.
Well, yeah.
I'll have my wife make some calls. They're getting a little big head there.
Yeah, you guys need to just
calm down.
Chill out a little bit. There's other people here with cancer.
Other people are dying, folks. Come on.
We all got problems. Like, but all the ones I've tried, they either like the zipper will like go right over my port and land on my port and rub on it, and it's uncomfortable, or like the flap is so heavy that like the shirt just starts to fall down and I feel like I'm just stripping for the nurses. And so I've just ended up going and getting, cheaper dress shirts that are button up, and I just undo the top 3 buttons and open them up so that it's like, easier to access.
You want to keep the nurses in line too. They get a little hot and bothered around you. I've seen it. Look,
I mean, I'm the youngest guy in there. I'm not 85.
Don't need a 3rd sponge bath today. Well, thanks, Cindy.
Yeah, I was like, well, hold on now.
Speaking of all that time, before we get to your wish list, I want to think of all the time. How many chemotherapies have you had? Like, how many treatments do you think?
Oh, goodness. Well over 100.
Well over 100.
I've been to Baptist at least 100 times.
So...
In the infusion center. over the last 2.5 years.
So of the most important part, the question I'm going to ask is, in your entire time in there, do you think that D.A. Novak was out of line when Stabler and Munch came in on that case of the double murder? Oh. And we knew the one guy didn't do it. I'm sorry, that's a Law and Order SVU joke.
Dang it.
He knows season 2, episode 8. Yeah. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
Okay. Back, my wife is going to absolutely pin me to the wall.
Is that your plug? That way she'll watch the podcast?
I don't think she's going to watch anyway, but she loves me, she says.
Well, hey, that's the important part.
It could be the drugs.
Right? Yeah, that's the thing, not? Too. The drugs.
Yeah.
They give them out like candy when you have cancer.
Yeah, they're very happy. She's actually weaned off so much stuff. You know, her turned into like bone disorders and stuff, and so it ended up being a lot of pharmaceutical stuff. The medical marijuana has helped her a lot. We do have to buy more purple Doritos because of the marijuana, but it's been a blessing for her. It isn't for everybody, and some people it might be a bad thing, but it's a lot better than the big pills she was getting. So
yeah, I have to keep. Let's see, what's my high snack? I have to keep pizza in the house pretty much all the time, like even just like frozen pizzas like from Kroger or whatever.
Yeah.
I do have my license, so but I do like the oils and the drinks. Like powders you can put into drinks, and then the pre-made drinks. And that has helped my pain more than any pain medication has ever.
Yeah, it's helped
and I don't feel like a zombie.
Like keeping her level is what she says.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. So it was really a great help. So
all right, shirt and then bucket list.
Yes.
You don't have to name every item, but just give us some examples.
Yeah. So one of them is going to be like a shirt with a little pocket on it, and it's going to just have the Legacy Dad face on there. I wanted it to be a t-shirt with a pocket because I think that having a pocket on your t-shirt is just so handy. And back when I was a little kid, somebody told me one time, I don't even remember who it was, but they said, "Man, Keyton, you're handier than a pocket on a shirt." And to me, that stuck with me. Yeah. Like that has always stuck with me. And so if I decided to myself, if I ever do a clothing line of any sort, I'm going to put a pocket on the t-shirt because I've been told I'm handier than a pocket on a t-shirt.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that's a part of my I know just enough about everything to be dangerous, but not enough about anything to be a professional.
And my brother calls me a master of useless versatility, so I can probably put you in there too.
That's a good explanation for it, actually. Yeah, I just tell people that these are all pro tips from an amateur.
There you go. So we got, all right, so Mustang, a trip to Boston.
Yeah, I've always wanted to go to Boston. I had a buddy that was in the Coast Guard that ended up there. And I've seen photos, and yes, there is a joke about Veggie Tales and Boston in the fall, but I've always wanted to go to Boston in the fall and see the leaves change and all of that. And Boston is also just such a rich historical place. I'm a history buff. I'm a history nerd. My wife is a history buff and a history nerd. My favorite president is Teddy Roosevelt. Hers is Abraham Lincoln. Pretty sure if he's still alive, she would divorce me and go marry him.
She's just a fangirl. She picks the popular ones all the time.
I don't know.
I mean, Roosevelt's he's knocking on top 5, but he's not Lincoln.
He's not Lincoln. He's not out there killing vampires.
His rookie card's not that worth.
Yeah,
much, so.
I mean, yeah. How many vampires has Roosevelt killed? Honestly, think about
one tops.
At least one. Yeah, he had to. Yeah. He was around then. But
so,
no,
Boston.
Yeah. Boston has always been kind of a dream of mine to just go visit. I've always wanted to go to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. I've never been to Charleston, South Carolina, which is where my dad is from, and I've never been to Alaska either. But that's not really on the list because I don't think I would make it.
Can
there.
She arrange
cold.
You get in the back of a C-130 or something? Can we just dropping you?
The military does have possibilities for transfer or transport, but the legwork of doing that versus getting a ticket on a plane is 7 extra steps, I think.
I have a lot of friends who are in politics, obviously, and they work for years to get this one thing to do this other thing, and I'm like, if you just went and bagged groceries at Kroger for a couple months, you could just the amount of work it takes to save the $400 or to get the job on this board. I'm like, if you just got a grown-up job for a little while or sold enough shirts.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but I want to help fund that as well. But that it's going to be a part of the GoFundMe, which I know you and I kind of talked about that as far as like a GoFundMe. How much do we ask for? And I kind of try to do my research, and I saw some of these astronomical numbers, up in like the 250,000s, and it was literally just like people saying, we're going to set it at such a large amount so that if it keeps getting picked up and people keep donating to it, it has a longer lifespan.
Yeah, like a shelf life. I mean, the more people donate to it, even if they're $5, more people see it. Sometimes it's like catching lightning in a bottle. We had Keith and Margie, a local group, two musicians, blues musicians here, who I'm hoping to get on the show. They had a fire at their house in East Columbus a couple of years ago, and somebody started one real quick, and it wasn't catching ground. She's like, "Hey, can you share it?" I'm like, "Would you care if I restarted it?" And she's like, "Well, why?" I'm like, "Well, not behind closed doors in the business, but it's got a happy picture of them on the front, and it just says, 'Help Keith and Margie.'" And I said, "Watch." And I said, I switched it, and I said, waited till right before the 5 o'clock news, got the news to cover it. Then I put it, unfortunately, the only sad black and white picture I could find of Keith and Margie, the only one, and I posted it in like Keith and Margie House Fire Fund. And like, they didn't get $100,000, but they got like 12 grand, enough to get out of their house. And everybody, they deserved it because they had helped people, much like you've helped people.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to catch lightning in a bottle. Sometimes you have to somehow, we had a girl in West Point a few years ago who's passed away since, but like it got picked up on the Ellen show before Ellen came out as a bad person or whatever. Nobody likes Ellen anymore. But at that point, the exposure was good. So it went from, $4,000 locally to 30 or 40.
Yeah.
Because and you don't never know if the Ellen thing will push into millions,
Yeah,
so
you never know if it'll get picked up by somebody or famous person will see it and go, "Wow, that's really cool. I'm going to share this."
But if you don't ask, there's somebody who'll be listening to this who's like, "Hey, I want a trip to Charleston at the Golden Triangle Theater thing, and I haven't turned it in yet. Would you like it?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and there's
awesome.
somebody who, I know multiple people with connections in Boston. So you never know that they may not hear it and go, "That's a better use for this than what I was doing with it." And you just have to hopefully catch their attention, much like everything. But you might as well ask, because if it's just you, there's no wife and kid, I might be able to get you to Tuscaloosa for like 2 movie tickets. But, like I said, you're doing it for the kid and the wife too, so y'all can experience as much as you can. So.
Yeah. Well, and the big thing is, it's like, one of the things that I heard that I reposted to a lot of my Legacy Dad stuff was, don't focus on adding days to your life, add life to your days. And when you can create lasting memories, at this point, I've kind of learned you just kind of throw money at the problem. Like, if somebody blesses you with the money to throw at the problem, I want to go teach my son about history. If that means that all 3 of us get to fly to Boston for a couple of days and stay at an Airbnb or stay with somebody that has a connection up there, then great. Like, that's what I'm going to do, because I don't have guaranteed time left. And so with the time that I do have, if I'm still waking up every morning and I still relatively feel good and treatment is not causing me to like just be in bed all day all the time, I'm going to do as much as I can to try to make those memories before I can't anymore.
Yeah, and well, we've got a presidential library right there at Mississippi State, and they're building the new one in the next 2 or 3 years. So there's one reason to keep alive, even though Grant's not from here. But we got it. Yeah. It's a power.
I'm not from here.
Power of politics. So much like Grant.
Yeah.
There you go. So see, you're walking in the same shoes there. So.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we'll have, by the time this comes on, we'll have the GoFundMe started. We'll have some framework of a wish list. We'll have you on your way to Charleston. You're going to be on WCBI soon. So WCBI a week or so ago, whenever we actually produced this thing. So.
Yeah. I also would like to kind of plug, if you don't mind, at legacy.dad is my TikTok for the Legacy Dad stuff, and then Legacy Dad on Facebook. And it's that logo is the picture. And if you find it, I think you follow it.
Yeah, TikTok and Facebook. And,
you can find it through Colin. You can go to Colin and
I'm easy to find. Just type the word in Colin. And, I'll show up somewhere.
Yeah, he's a big deal.
Not quite. So we'll get that going. We'll be set, and then we're going to have you back again. Like I said, we're just going to keep talking through this. Till, I don't know if we'll figure it out, but God will figure it out, and we'll be there in one place. So.
Exactly. Yeah, and we're kind of going through this whole thing of like, God can do amazing things, and we've seen miracles before. So there might be a day where I just wake up and it's gone and the doctors can't explain it. But I'm preparing for the worst. I'm preparing for it to not go that way, just in case, because I don't want my family to be caught off guard. So, but yeah, that's kind of where we're at. It's just education, positive vibes, loving everybody, trying to make sure that everybody knows that, yes, we do still need help, but, we're not going to just beg, obviously.
I'll do some begging for you. And myself, I have a little more fun on the way out. And in case you didn't know, I love you and I'm very proud of everything you've been through. So
thank you. I
you're
appreciate
one of my heroes around here.
Well, thank you.
Even though you're a little goofy looking. So. Thanks for being on the show today. We're going to have you back soon, all right?
Yes, thank you.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the podcast. My name is Colin Krieger and my day job is real estate. If you're looking to buy or sell, I'd love to talk to you. Or if you just want to sit and talk real estate in a no pressure situation, I'd love to help you. I work with RE/MAX Partners in Starkville, Columbus, and West Point, Mississippi. I can help you find an agent anywhere in Mississippi or anywhere in the country. Just reach out to our office at 662-327-7705 or find me anywhere when you type in 662-329-SOLD.